live. Hey, Ryley.
What's up?
Tell us who you are and what you do.
So I am Ryley Watson, the host of Midwest Mythos, and man, I talk about the cryptids, that ancient history. I like talking about the aliens, conspiracies, and most of all, I love talking about Jesus and the Bible. And you get a mixture of all that kind of stuff on Midwest Mythos. And yeah, man, I like talking about the weird stuff nobody talks about.
Yeah.
I finally got the outlet to do it because, growing up, man, I had maybe like 2 friends that talked about this stuff. Then I heard about podcasts and I was like, man, let's do it. I am a year in last week, 2 weeks ago. This is awesome.
Who is your favorite guest so far? Now, that's a loaded question. I'm just saying, but we all kind of have shows that we know are good.
Yeah, honestly, I would have to, and this is not any of the guests I had on because I love every guest that I've had. I
understand that too.
Honestly, it would have to be as far as like blow my mind, just the flow of the conversation. It'd have to be Amber from Cult Life Escaped. I actually her episode just came out this past week, and I'm sitting there, and when I'm talking to people, I'm involved in the conversation, focus and paying in. But me and her, it only felt like we were recording for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We were there for 2.5 hours almost.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Getting into it, talking about satanic cults, the signs of everything and how to get into them. And I'm just like, man, this is everything that I've always been into researching.
Yeah.
It all came just into this one. And I'm just like, man, I've told her like 10 times this last week, this is probably the funnest interview I've ever done.
That's awesome. What is Amber?
Yep. From the Cult Life Escaped. Dude, I'll send you her info after. She's a wonderful woman to talk to.
I take a lot of notes, so.
You're all good. So do I.
So talk to us about what got you into this whole thing. Like, did you have an experience when you were younger? All that type of stuff. Everyone's got a gateway. So what is yours? All
right. So it's funny because this is like the whole intro to my podcast. It's me playing guitar. And I'm just like, ever since I was a young boy, I've been fascinated of stories of the unknown, places yet to be discovered, wild people trying to find their wildest riches, all that kind of stuff, experiences, creatures. So it's kind of funny because when I was a child, I was afraid of everything. Everything scared me. I was definitely terrified of aliens, ghosts, everything. My parents were surprised I even watched Scooby-Doo.
Right.
And they were kind of disappointed in me because I come from a family like horror is everything. Like you name a horror movie from the 70s to present.
Yep.
They've seen it. And
wow.
So I just kind of shied away from all this kind of stuff. And then in about 2006 or 2007, Monster Quest started coming out. And I just remember watching it one day, and it was the second episode, and it was about Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest. And I was like, this is really, really cool. So it kind of just ingrained itself in my little kid mind. And I never forgot about it. So when I'd go to the library and stuff at school, I'd be like, hey, Miss whatever your name is, can you help me find a book on Bigfoot? And she would help me find all these books on Bigfoot. And then I'd read those, look at the pictures. And then some of these books, for being in a kid's library, got into some pretty deep stuff, like connections to UFOs and stuff like that.
Right.
And like I said earlier, I was terrified of aliens. So like I kind of got scared for a minute, but I tried to stick with the big hairy man. Did a bunch of research when I was a kid. Then Ancient Aliens came out. And my dad was obsessed with that show because when he was alive, if you walked into my parents' house, he had the Sci-Fi Channel on and was watching those crappy B movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
His three favorite movies of all time: Armageddon, which is not a B movie,
not the worst movie.
Independence Day, and then Fire in the Skies. And so he was all about aliens and stuff, and he was open to talk about them with me. And so I'd get home from school, watch Ancient Aliens, and that was Ancient Aliens was a slippery slope. It helped me get over my fear of aliens at like 11 or 12. And then at that point, my best friend, Caleb, he was also into this stuff. So me and him would bounce ideas off of each other, talk about it, do research. We attempted to read Chariot of the Gods at 12. Now that book is a pretty dense, It
is. It's pretty big. It's a more advanced book.
Yeah. So we're just like, screw this. We're not going to read this. And then as we got older, like seniors in high school. We started to. And at this point, I came across Sasquatch Chronicles and The Confessionals right when he first started that podcast.
Yep.
So like late 2017, early 2018. And I was like, wait, there's a whole world of people talking about this. Nobody besides my buddy will talk about this stuff with me. So over the years, I just like, all right, I'm going to start a podcast. Never did. Then I met Shane Jones from Inquiries of Our Reality.
Who we were just talking about. Good dude.
We met at Eric from Uncomfortable Podcast, his event in Michigan, Bigfoot and Brews. Shane and I hooked it off, and I talked to Eric too, and both of them were like, oh, you should start a podcast. And a couple of years went by, and boom, here it was. But I've always, I guess it's a long-winded story, but
no,
it's always been around. I mean, I've had plenty of experiences too. I've living right on Lake Michigan.
Yep.
UFOs are not a surprise. Me and countless other people I've lived with, friends, all that, we've all seen UFOs. It's a couple of them we know for sure. Others could just be other things. We know they're not planes because there's so much airplane traffic in the area. We're very, very familiar. All the airports in Chicago. We got all the airports from Wisconsin, Michigan, Detroit, Benton Harbor's airport, South Bend. So we know what planes look like because we see about 200 of them a day.
Yeah.
So it was just stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I'm going to start talking about it on a podcast. So yeah, that's how I got here, man.
Yeah. So let's transition into like cryptids a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll just get into this whole camping trip that you guys went on, you and Doc, and who actually put that together?
So that was a combined effort of Harley Owens from Bigfoot Reports and Data, and then Drewski from Cryptid Warfare.
Yeah.
And CW Ops. They got together. I got a text. I interviewed Drewski like late last summer.
Yep.
Me and him hit it off right away. And he's like, bro, you got to come out with me and my team sometime. And I was like, you guys are down south. Yeah. So he's like, oh, well, I'm in the works. I'm talking to this one guy. And this is before Harley even like blew up.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had been talking for quite a while. And next thing you know, me and Harley get to know each other. And I get an invite from both of them at the same time.
That's awesome.
Hey, you want to come down to an undisclosed location down in Tennessee and go camping, look for Bigfoot and Dogman?
I think the whole swath of eastern Tennessee is undisclosed. Seriously.
It really is.
It's crazy. Yeah, I've been down there a few times. Not really for this type stuff, but when I was down there, I always just and I've also spent a lot of time across the border in North Carolina in the Smokies. And dude, it's just got a different energy there, man. And
it really does. and we can get into that, man.
Yeah, if you want. Sure. Absolutely. I want to hear about it. Because the next time, if I don't get invited, I'm going to torch some stuff.
That's a very common statement that I've been hearing lately. There's been a lot of people, and some of the people had invites and they're just like, no, I don't want to come.
Like, what? I would be there in a heartbeat. That's just, but not everyone's able to do it. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So no, I'm just messing around, but not messing around.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Drewski, when you listen to this, don't do it, man. Call your boy.
Do it, man. But yeah, so we've had, some people, obviously life happens.
Yeah.
They weren't able to come out. That's understandable, and then others, like I said, just were like, I'm not feeling it. I don't think nothing's going to happen. To be honest, I was kind of skeptical going down anyway, too, because I was like, I've done my fair share of squatching up in the Midwest, Michigan, mostly. But, coming from, the Midwest, man, it's flat, it's corn. We got forest, but we got some dense forest, too, but it's still flat, You get hills here and there and a lot of tree growth, but you can still see, like even with heavy brush, you can still see quite a bit in front of you.
Yeah, for sure.
And at night, moonlight still comes through the trees a little bit. But when I was driving down there, especially once I got into like southern Kentucky, once I really got into the Appalachian Trail and the Smokies.
Different animal, bro.
Dude, it kind of hit me because, I've been down there for like vacation and stuff. But that was just, we're going to like Cedarville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, do all the touristy stuff, just like me and my friends for like a long weekend. So I drive through the mountains like, these are pretty, this is cool. It's breathtaking. But going down there with the mindset of what I was going to be doing.
Like I'm getting into it.
Yeah. So Harley's transmission blew out on his truck. So I'm on my way down. I've already been driving for like 9.5 hours at this point. He texted me. He's like, "Hey, Bubba, can you come pick me up?" "Yeah, I got you. It's not too far out the way." So I pick him up and we're sitting there talking. He's showing me some pictures that he's never showed anybody. He's getting me hyped and stuff. We're heading to Doc's house to stay the night and have a little sleepover. And we're just getting, and we go through the mountains. And I'm like, sitting there, I'm like, man, I am not going to lie. I'm kind of scared right now. This is intimidating. Like,
right.
It's really, really different than the Midwest.
It's just a different type of dark.
It really is. It is. And that's going to play a factor here in a little bit. So, we have our little sleepover at Doc's house, have fun, shoot the dice about podcasting and just hang out, because it's our first time meeting each other in person after talking on the phone for 8 months.
Yeah.
So we finally get down. All right, we're going to our spot that we're going to be at for the week. And then we get to the spot and Harley's with me and I'm like, bro, I don't feel good. Like, I'm feeling really, really uneasy about this. Like, I'm getting humbled really, really quick and just something feels off. And part of me is like thinking I try to think logically a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I heard all these stories. I've seen all these pictures and stuff from the area. I've heard over the last 8 years, heard all these stories from this general vicinity, just from East Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, Southern Kentucky, on all these podcasts, all these encounters with these creatures. And I'm like, I've had my own encounters with creatures and stuff up in Michigan, but this is just different. Like, I don't know this place. I don't know this type of terrain. Like, if something were to happen, I don't know how long I'd be able to survive by myself. So I'm just like wigging out, but I'm just like, all right, it's just all this. Nothing's actually like out here right now. We're just driving to this super secluded place. And I think that was like the beginning of it. So we finally get there. Everybody starts pulling in. We're like, all right, let's set up base camp. And, we're having fun. We're chilling and stuff. And Drewski, he's like, hey, Ryley, you're kind of in charge of like our spiritual protection for the weekend and stuff like that. Because we had talked about it. I brought down my guitar. I was going to play some worship music and stuff.
Yeah.
My wife and I are the worship leaders at our church here in Indiana. So it's like, all right, man, most of us love Jesus and pretty involved. So, let's just hang out. We're going to be by a fire anyway, play some guitar. Let's do some worship. We can do some country and stuff like that. Just have a good old time. So what Drewski does is he hands me a bottle of anointing oil and he's like, do what you got to do.
This isn't a ditty party, Drewski.
So he's setting up.
I had to say it. I couldn't help myself. Anyway.
Threw up the alley-oop, man. He slam dunk. But yeah, man. So I take the oil and around the perimeter of our camp and just marking trees.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would be doing the same thing, brother.
Making little crosses with the oil.
I was just upstairs with my. I don't have it down here right now, but anyway, keep going.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's good practice.
It is
anywhere you go, especially in your own home. You got to claim it. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm praying. God, Lord Jesus, this is all creation is yours. I'm claiming this vicinity that we are in.
This campsite.
Yes, as yours. It is yours. No principalities, no creatures, no hexes, witchcraft, anything that is in these old ancient mountains is allowed in here. It is your domain. Do as you will and what you must. Just protect us all. So that is, we have come to determine, was me throwing the match on the gasoline. But
I've heard the same type of thing.
But I don't care, man. Like, everybody's, in hindsight, looking back at it, everybody's like, man, Ryley, you really did piss something off. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, this is the authority that Christ has given us to do. Correct. So I do all that. We're all good. Now we're just chilling till it's nighttime. So we're just getting to know each other because for most of us, the only person that I knew, like actually knew before going down there was Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are. Because me and him had met up at Small Town Monster Fest in Ohio the previous year. So we had already hung out, we'd share some beers together. We knew each other. So we're just meeting everybody else. And because most of us had talked to each other on each other's podcast but in person. It's different. So we're just
right.
dapping up, hugs, cooking some food, sitting by, trying to get a fire set up for the night, get all the gear ready to go. Drew was setting up alarms all over the place.
I get it, man. I do the same.
And
I do the same thing.
Those were more for bear than anything. Like,
yeah,
we knew there was cryptids and stuff out there, but
I use trail cams for the cryptids.
Yeah,
actually. But anyway,
I can see that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try that when I'm doing something up here in
I've
Michigan.
got a few trail cams that I set up so I can sleep soundly.
Yeah, I can see the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, man.
So, Drew, I don't know. I think people like Drew, these alarms were the funniest thing ever. And they were very, very effective. It trip lines, all the cool stuff. So, all right, we're sitting here, we're relaxing and stuff. Well, finally starts to get dark. We get a game plan going. Some people went hiking throughout the day. I was still very tired, so I was like, I'm just gonna rest. Well, comes nighttime, they're like, all right, we're going out. We're sending one team in one direction and one in the other. And I decided to stay at base camp with two other guys. And I was like, oh, I'm going to play some guitar, maybe draw them in, because that's been proven. They like music. So I go to grab my guitar, and one of the guys, everybody's already left at this point. One of the guys is like, don't you dare play that guitar. And I was like, why? Don't we want to draw them in? He's like, not to base camp. Not to base camp. And I was like, yeah? He's like, Ryley, I've been doing this for way longer than you've been alive. That's not a smart move. And I'm like, all right, man, I get it. I'm going to listen to you, because at this point, it's so dark, I can't even see. And we're at base camp. We have a fire, and I still can't see my hand in front of my face.
Yeah, right.
We have like the little red headlamps, and that's all we got. Well, the first thing that happens is we set up a cam light, which to people that don't know what that is, it's like a fancy glow. It's a really big glow stick at the end of the road. And my job, besides helping run communications between the parties and stuff, is to watch this glow stick. But you don't want to stare at it, because then your mind will start playing illusions and stuff on you.
For sure.
Well, me and Senior are just like, wait a second, is that thing moving? And then all of a sudden, there's like a shadow in front of it. I'm like, what? Something's messing with this. So we're, calling out to everybody, we got some weird stuff going on at base camp. And so we call it in. Everybody's like, all right, we'll keep an eye. And this keeps on happening for like the next hour. Something's like messing with this thing. Then all of a sudden, we hear some rustling to the behind us, like off in the woods. Nobody went out in that direction. And it sounds big. What was that? Not like freaking out, but we're getting alert. Like, what was that? And of course, that is the one spot that I did not take the oil out to.
Right.
Because I was like, ain't nobody gonna be out there. I'm just gonna cut it short. So they got pretty close. So we're already on this, and then all of a sudden, we start hearing owls. We just hear the owl go,
nope.
And they're like, oh, we're hearing owls. And then all of a sudden, it's, and we're like, what? At this point, I whip out my phone, and I'm like, all right, they're like, are you guys hearing that? Call one of the teams, and they're like, yo, we're getting this weird like owl noise, but it doesn't quite sound like an owl. I'm like, yeah, that's I got it on video. Of course, on the video, all you can hear is I got to put it through a program and like rip the audio out.
Just to clean it up,
because you can faintly hear it in the background, but other than that, you just hear us walking and stuff.
Yeah,
but dude, it was wild. It was like, that was not the first one may have been an owl, but the second one, it was not, because it sounded close, but it was just bassier almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get that samurai chatter.
Yep.
After, I'm just like, because that was like on a ridge line, maybe 100 yards from base camp, and one team, it was basically in the center of the triangle between the two teams in base camp.
Yeah.
I was like, that kind of got me going. I was like, man, I don't know about this here. I don't know about this. And that was really a lot of what happened the first night. Like we talked about before, like there's only so much I can talk about this, because we got a documentary coming out. Yeah. But the first night, there's no footage besides some of the stuff.
You were kicking it off right off the bat. You had activity the first night.
Yeah. I didn't. supposedly some people may have saw some stuff even when we were driving in, just like some weird, like just shadows and stuff. Well, the next morning, the first thing, because I was supposed to sleep in a hammock all weekend, but after that, I was like, I'm sleeping in my car. And
I get it, man. I get it.
And I lucked out, and I think a few of us lucked out because I wasn't the only one thinking that. It was like monsoon raining. So I'm just like, oh man, I didn't put my tarp up right because I did put it up right, but there was so much rain, my hammock still got
right. Yeah,
it still got wet a little bit. Like I could have slept in it, but it was a good excuse to sleep in my car.
In the car, yeah.
And so I'm just the next morning we wake up, we go out to where that cam light was, and there's a slide next to it, like where something stepped.
Yep.
And it slid. And I can't remember if Doc, if you end up listening to this and you hear this, if this is something that I'm sorry, but it was before you got here in the morning. So I think it's a pretty fair game, but there was like a slide. It was a big slide, like something, because like I said, it was really wet. Right where it would have crossed over and blacked out the light was where it would have had to step. And there was a trail going from one creek. Well, it went up on a ridge, but there was a creek behind it. Mm-hmm. And then there's another ridge to my left, and there's a creek down below.
Right.
So there was just, game trail, but possible footprints, but just like the way the foliage and everything was, it wasn't
per usual.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to get nice, like, clean tracks. Now, there was other places in the location where we were able to see some really cool tracks, and you can see those on Harley's page. Actually, some of the tracks we didn't even take pictures of, honestly. At that point, there were so many tracks that it was like, all right, do we want to take a picture of this, or do we want to keep on moving?
Yeah.
And we chose to keep on moving because there's just so much stuff happening.
Yeah, for sure. I always tell people there's a really cool app called Scaniverse. And I don't know, some people have it, some people don't. I've found it very effective because you can manipulate the picture after, meaning you can, look at all angles of it. So if you don't have that on your phone, you should get it.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, Scaniverse. And it's free.
Oh, even better.
It's a free app. So you can take like a motion kind of like picture of all angles of the print. Mm-hmm. And then you can spin it and look at it. It's wild. And I've got a couple like Bigfoot tracks and then some really big canine tracks, which, come on, man. I don't try to mess around with dog, man.
No, man.
Just saying. For some reason, it just doesn't, Sasquatch, Bigfoot doesn't give me the same willies.
Yeah.
Not that it wouldn't. I mean, and I've had pretty close encounters, but for some reason, dog, man, I don't know, man. Something about it gets me. And maybe it's because I got bit by a dog when I was a kid and I've got this canine issue. I don't have a canine issue, but maybe I do. But only with a dog, man.
I get that, man. I've had my fair share of like close with a Squatch.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dog, man. Well, my wife's actually seen one not too far away from our house while driving down the highway. It's right by a state park that I like to go out to all the time. Yeah. And dude, like the way she described it, she's not even into this stuff. Like she had no interest in it until we got married, and she's kind of just like sucked into it. But she described it as terrifying. I was like, I imagine, man.
Yeah, I know that people also have they have like dogman encounters, but I'm also like the type, I guess what you would call a type 3 Sasquatch, which is a more like baboon, like Sasquatch. So it's got like a muzzle, like a baboon.
Yeah.
More like what would you call it? There's a name. The Gugway, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds
something
right.
Like that. But anyway, that's splitting hairs at this point. But so you say you've had encounters. What other encounters stick out in your mind that you've had?
So I lived at this property up in Benton Harbor, Michigan, around the area. It's Southwest Michigan. And I lived with my buddy and his wife before they got married. And dude, we just had all sorts of weird stuff happen. And this town's already got a lot of weird history, lots of UFO stuff, lots of cult stuff. Apparently some cryptid stuff that I found out. There's dogmen and Sasquatch out there. I knew there was Sasquatch because it's not too far away from the Dewey Lake Monster sighting from the 60s.
Yeah.
Probably 15, 20 minutes from there. So I knew this stuff was out there. Well, we had a lot of spiritual stuff happen. Well, I should say I had a lot. And then one night we saw something out in the woods. It was the middle of the night. Me and my buddy, he liked to have fires every single night, whether it's just him out there burning trash or just sitting out there just smoking a cigar, listening to music, having a beer. Well, it was like a Friday or Saturday night. I wanted to stay inside and play some video games with some of our other buddies. It was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting there really into my game, just locked in, and I just hear pounding on my door, and I'm not thinking anything of it. And my buddy rips open the door. He was like, Ryley, cut the damn game off. Come outside right now. And I'm like, dude, why? I was like, you just want somebody to hang out with? He's like, no, dude, I think I heard. I'm just going to say it's a skinwalker. I know it's probably not, but I'm just going to say it is because
I was just going to say that's what I think it is.
Yeah. And just because like he knew if he said that, it would get me up and going. He could have said any cryptic thing and I would have. And I'm like, the hell you mean? And at this point, he's in the room because there was my room and then the storage room where we kept all our guns and stuff like that. And at this point, because I'm already up, he's loading his guns. He's like, grab your pistol. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? He's like, all right, so I'm sitting out there and I hear these coyotes yipping. And he's like, I heard one. They all got silent. Then I heard one let out this like it's hurt, like yip, yell, how they are.
Yeah.
We're very, very familiar with coyotes and how they sound in this area, dude. There's thousands of them.
Yeah.
And it was not going to be confused with anything else. And then he said, I heard this noise like super loud out in the woods.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what the hell? So I grabbed my pistol, I got my flashlight, and we're like, all right. So we open up the back gate, and behind the house is a bunch of acres that lead into like a creek and a swamp and stuff like that behind it. A bunch of farmland too. It's pretty open. It's like it's surrounded by trees, but then it opens up and kind of like a meadow behind it, like a swampy meadow. So it's 2 a.m. in the middle of the summer. So it's kind of foggy. So we're kind of just scanning, and all of a sudden there's a stump that's about like 4 foot. I see these blue eyes that my light hits, and I see these blue eyes, and my buddy sees it too. But he sees normal eye shine, but I see blue. And we're just like, what the hell is that? Like, them eyes are too big to be a raccoon because they're like spaced like a human's eyes, maybe a little farther out. And we started looking around, making sure there's nothing else. And then we turn back, it's gone. So at this point, I'm scanning to the left, he's scanning to the right, and I see it standing. I just like going off to the side towards, there was a neighbor's house, but they're never there because they're rich foreigners who only live in their house part-time. And that's a lot of Southwest Michigan. So they're heading off to that, which in that direction is also where the swamp's at. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? It's going this way. It's going this way. And it looked like it was taller than me. I'm 5'10". I would say it's probably like 6'3", 6'4". And it was just going off that way. And I could still only see the eye. So it was kind of just looking at us as it was going. I'm like, I'm not about to start popping off or anything.
No.
Because I don't know what it is. It could, in my mind at the time, it could be somebody out there messing with us, but why would they do that? You know, there's no point. It's the neighbors ain't there. The floodlight's off, so we know they're not there. And the other neighbors are too far in the wrong direction.
Right.
So we're just like, I'm like, what the hell was that, man? He's like, I don't know. I was like, you want to go after it? And like, I said it just like that because like I didn't want to, but if he wanted to, we're going to make it happen. And he said, no, let's just go back inside.
Yeah, we're good.
And dude, that was pretty scary. And we've had a lot of other weird stuff happen out there as far as like he saw a like apparition witch thing one time when he was out there, like mind speak kind of to him while he was sleeping out there hunting. I got a whole episode of it on my show. It's the Witch of the Woods episode. We talk about everything in that. Just talking about everything on this property, it takes about 2.5 hours to get through everything that happened to us out there. Well, he also heard that night, that noise that I made, but then he also heard, he said it almost sounded like the Predator mixed with this character from my old show, like Perry the Platypus from this old show, Phineas and Ferb, that we used to watch when we were kids. But also like a door creaking 2 more.
Mm.
So that freaked me out. I was like, all right, well, so you heard that, and then you heard the noise that I recreated. And then a couple weeks later, because I worked second shift, so I would go to work like 2, 3 in the afternoon, wouldn't get home till 2, 3 in the morning. And I'm walking. We had a pole barn to our side. Then it opened up, and then, all the woods and everything's back, like 10 acres straight back. Well, the only part of the yard I couldn't see because we had a bright old floodlight was behind this pole barn in this corner. So it made this V that was just complete darkness. And I heard that, and I booked it inside. Like, I'm trying to get my key in the door, unlock it. I'm like, dude, I gotta go. And I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was this thing or something similar.
Yeah.
And we've been out there because we spent a lot of time outside there just having fires and
The
stuff.
thing that throws me off is the blue eye shine.
Yeah.
You saw it as regular, though, you said?
He thought it was regular. He saw regular, but I saw blue. But he was also looking at it from the side, but I was looking at it head on.
Yeah.
Too.
I don't know. That's weird. I've never heard that. But...
Yeah, and there's only like 5 animals that have blue eye shine. That's cows, goats, badgers, the wolverine, and something else. But we don't, none of those things are 6'4" standing up.
Right, exactly.
So,
that's weird.
We sat out there. There was one night, a couple months later, we had some friends over, and it started getting dark, and my friend's wife was like, hey, what is that light out there? And we're thinking, oh, it's the floodlight from the house, because they were in town, but they weren't home. They were out doing something.
Yeah.
And it's just this blue dot out on one of the trails. And I'm like, what is that? So I get up, look at it, and it's just sitting there in the middle of the trail. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go mess with that no more. So we sit down, and then all of a sudden these orbs just start appearing right on the wood line, right where our gate is. And we got pictures of them too, somewhere. I can send them to you, but they're like just like not close enough to be eyes, but just orbs out there.
Blue orbs?
Blue and white. Like, we thought they were lights. Right. Eventually, we did, after they were gone, we mustered up the courage to go out there. No footprints, nothing. It wasn't people out there.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty muddy, so you're going to see, people are going to leave footprints and stuff out there. Nope, nothing. It was just really, really weird. But this whole property was just weird. I've had stuff, like, a long time, walking at the end of my bed, stuff grabbing me in my sleep, my footsteps down the hallway.
Yeah, more like paranormal stuff, too.
Yeah, there was a lot of paranormal stuff. And it doesn't surprise me either, because the town is really, really close to, well, Benton Harbor is one of the points of the Lake Michigan Triangle. I don't know if you've heard of that at all.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, I'm one of those believers, just because we as man make geographical lines and stuff and make an endpoint and stuff like that, doesn't mean the stuff can't extend out a little bit farther. So this area is already full of high strangeness. So I'm just like, oh man, it is pretty wild.
Is it running water running through it?
Yeah, actually.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things, like certain things you look for signs of, like ley lines and things like that, right? So.
Oh yeah, the whole area is it's the Pawpaw Lake watershed. Yep. So we have the Pawpaw River, the St. Joseph River, all this stuff, yep. And at some point they eventually lead out to the Mississippi River and all this kind of stuff, man. So there's a lot of water.
Yeah. St. Joseph's River. I'm looking at the area for like so I'm on the Bigfoot Mapping Project website, and there's like all around it, there's different sightings. Obviously, like out at Dewey Lake, Maple Island, that whole area.
Oh yeah.
You've got a couple sightings out there and reports, and then you've got some up. You've got a footprint, another sighting up. Where is that? By Riverside, which is just north of there.
Yeah, so Riverside's like the town I grew up in.
Okay. Yeah, so like there's right on the Pawpaw River. There's a couple sightings.
Yeah, man,
and then south of there too, you've got right on, like right in Stevensville, there's a sighting or a vocalization as well.
And that's where we get close to that state park. If you're looking at the map, you'll see it, the Warren Dam State Park.
Yeah, I see it right there.
Just south of that is where my wife had her dogman encounter on the highway.
And you've got Grand Mere Lakes, the Grand Mere State Park as well.
Yep.
Man. And then there's one other one that's a little farther south, but it's it's by another lake because there's a ton of lakes there.
Yeah.
Wagner Lake?
Yep.
So, yeah, man.
There's a lot in the area,
It's hard,
man.
rich environment. As it seems, and you're like, what? Like, it doesn't seem like there should be that much activity, but there's a decent amount. I mean, obviously you get farther north, like, because as Michigan goes, there's so much activity up north, like insane.
The Manistee National Forest, that's a dog man hotspot.
Like up in Bendon. There's a whole hotspot up there, which is by what lake? Green Lake, it's called. Duck Lake, Green Lake, Interlaken, that whole area. There's a hot spot there. This is what's so cool. I don't know if you've ever gotten on this map. It just gives you the hot spots, and it's super cool.
I used to be the dude that would go to the BFRO's website and stuff like that. But now, like the Bigfoot Mapping Project, man, this
is way better.
I feel like,
they get a lot of their stuff from BFRO, but
yeah. But I feel like a lot more people are also open to like put stuff on the Bigfoot Mapping Project where they don't have to have like a whole interview. Because like we just had that major sighting in Monroe County over by south of Detroit.
Yep.
With that Class A. Actually, Matt Moneymaker got involved with that one. It was so good.
Yep.
And I know that area because I used to fish tournaments out of there, out of Monroe. Over on the Sterling River and the Red River.
Yep.
I fished over by Plum River.
That whole area is a hot spot in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Right around Monroe. Well, especially north of there, in what I think they call Stony Creek.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, there's so many sightings there. Oh, yeah. So there they are. Going all the way back to like the 60s. So... And some of it's nuts. I'm starting to ask all my folks that are, especially Christian folks, what do you think we're dealing with here? I again, loaded question. And, you don't have, obviously, the bottom line is I think we don't know anything. We don't know anything about anything. Like we are so outside of our element with this type of stuff that I don't think we have a clue, right? I think maybe we have a clue. We have our own experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And those of people that we trust. What do you think we're dealing with? Like, what's your opinion? Because that's all it is. It's an opinion.
It's opinions, yes. So I would say, well, I guess I should preface by this. Growing up, I was always flesh and blood. But the last couple of years, just hearing all these stories over the last almost a decade now, there's some aspect to them that aren't natural and supernatural. Right. And I know there's this whole thing of them being Nephilim. And I don't think that they're I don't think they're straight Nephilim. I think they're some of them. I think some of them could still be just like flesh and blood, like ape. But then there's this whole other thing that is like just dirty, muddy, watered down.
Oh, like an Eliud, right?
Yeah, just like it's got some of the genetics and stuff, but most of it is natural. But they have access to these supernatural abilities in the same similar sense as us. We have the gifts of the spirit,
right?
Like healing.
And there are plenty of humans that are able to tap into this stuff.
Yes, so like they could do something. No, because let's take it back. The whole thing that the enemy they cannot create. They can only mimic and copy what God has done. So God made us spiritual beings in a mortal vessel. We are of God and we are children of God. So God gives us the ability to do through him and his spirit to do things that he can, the miracles, the healing, the prophecy, all this kind of stuff that it talks about in the scriptures. Well, if the enemy copied, their descendants would also have abilities like spiritual abilities.
Yeah.
So I guess this is a little teaser for the documentary Operation Smoke that'll be out sometime. My experience changed my perspective on all that, and you can hear that in the trailer. And I think the little debrief trailer, I don't think he put a lot of my talking in the debrief. No,
other than you're like, man, you don't know woods.
Yeah. So,
which is true. It's so true. So true. You don't know woods until you're in some woods like that.
A lot of the stuff that I had happen to me, man, there was a lot of it. Like, I don't I don't expect everybody to believe me. That's fine. You know,
Exactly.
and I don't, even like me, I'm who experienced it. I'm not even 100% sure what happened. I'm not going to say I saw something. I mean, I did, but I don't know what it is that I seen. Y'all will have to wait for the documentary for that. But
Right.
I had some really, really unexplainable and terrifying stuff happen to me.
Yeah.
Like, I could say one thing for sure. I definitely got blasted by something
Zapped, right? Is
that,
that what people are calling it? Zapped or blasted?
yeah, something like that. Like, my energy was drained and there was a primal fear and I thought I was
Yep.
going to die.
Yeah, man.
And that, you know, you guys will get to see a lot of that on the documentary. And then after that comes out, when I have free reign to talk about everything, like there's a lot more to it that I've just come in the last month
Yeah, like
to
hindsight's
understand.
2020, right?
Right. And I also don't want people thinking like I'm playing this up for the fame and the, no, like
No.
I don't care, man. I
It's not
just
going to happen, right?
like I just want, you know, I enjoy this kind of stuff, and
Yep.
I'd still be excited about everything even if nothing did happen to me.
I mean, bottom line is, and this is one of the things that and this is one of the seeds that I like to plant, is that this is fellowship, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is like, at the end of it, that's what it is for me. And I know with a lot of other folks that I've come in contact with, it's the people I like to converse with and hang out with, you know, whether it's virtually or in person, it's for fellowship, you know,
Right.
like-minded folks. I mean, if I don't get along with you, I'm not going to hang out with you. Right.
Exactly. Like that, to me, like everything that happened, like I say, if that didn't happen, this trip still would have been awesome, man, because I made some great new friends, man. We talked so much scripture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all shared our testimonies and stuff, had good food, just hung out, and like it was the brotherhood, the fellowship.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the best that we've all talked about. That's been our favorite thing about the whole thing. That's why we're all gung ho to do it again. Because like I've made some really, really good friends that I'm only going to see doing this kind of stuff, and I would have only met doing this kind of stuff. Man.
Yeah, so you guys are just messing around in an area where, you know, guys like Scott Carpenter spend a lot of time, and you know, not just him, but a lot of folks that have been doing this a long time. And I've really been digging deep, and as deep as I can, into the DNA of this whole thing, right? The Sasquatch Genome Project and that stuff, like that Scott Carpenter with Melba Ketchum. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And, people can say what they want, and I understand, but at the end of the day, if the science, the real science, were, you know, if they would actually just look at give this a real good look, I don't see how they could not at least admit that there's something going on. Right. And not just dismiss it out of hand. And, so the biggest argument that I hear about it is like, well, she published it in her own journal that she created just for that. Well, because nobody else would peer review it or look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you supposed to do then? So if that's the measure of science, then that's science I don't want a part of. Right. So I don't give it much credence at that point. Plus, I'm not going to get myself banned on YouTube. But let's look at where the science has taken us in the past few years about all kinds of stuff, right? So I don't look at the science as much as I used to. I don't give it the credibility that it used to have, because if you're not going to give all of it, the whole body of evidence, credibility or possibility, I can't even, I can't take you seriously. That's how I look at it. Right. I mean, I can still be your friend and I can whatever, but I just can't take it seriously at that point, because you're not open.
Exactly. Well, I think that's also plays a part into why what you and I and countless others do is so important. Like getting people's experiences, getting them to talk about it. Because honestly, I feel just you can look all throughout history. What's been more effective? Your notes in your books or firsthand, like people's stories and encounters? Because I'll tell you what, it goes back to the mountain ape, like the mountain gorillas and stuff. They didn't think those were real. They thought that was cryptozoology for years and years.
Right.
They start talking to the locals and they're like, oh, yeah, you know, these things are real. We experience these things all the time. And then they took them seriously once. It was like, oh, yeah, they live in this part of the jungle. Guess what? They went there. Boom. There they were. I think if the science, and this is also coming from a dude who was majored in environmental science in college as well, and did a lot of biology, man. You listen to the people that have seen these things, you're going to get more than just trying to get these hypotheses out of books and stuff like that. You got to boots on ground is the most effective form of, especially when it comes like to biology and stuff like that. Boots on ground is the most effective. Now, if you're doing like chemistry and stuff like that, that's a little different. But
yeah, right.
But in topics like these, you're not going to just get things from the books. You have to go out there, and I can't stress that enough. And that's why I also encourage people out to go out and research places.
Yeah.
But do it safely, man.
Oh, yeah, because it can go sideways, really. I mean, like missing 411 is a real thing. Like,
it's
what is that
real.
about? I don't know for sure, but wow. It's creepy, right? People go missing all the time, and I don't know why, or because crazy stuff happens out there. Right?
Yes, it does. And do you mind if I give like a couple words of advice to people?
Oh, absolutely.
About this, like,
well, that's kind of where we're headed at this point. Is I like to kind of wrap things up with you planting seeds for people, like talking about things that make people think.
All right.
This goes right into that.
Well, first off, guys, I highly suggest if you're going out into like an ancient place, like, there's some history of some negative stuff, or you're just going into a place like you're unfamiliar with, above all else that I'm about to say, stay prayed up, like prayers of protection, prayers of discernment,
put your
guidance.
armor on.
Yes, equip the whole armor of God, and know your word, because I'll tell you what, that can get you out of a lot more situations than you think. They get the God I worship, the God of Jacob, Jesus Christ, can do all things. The second thing is, if you're going out into the woods and like you camping, don't go by yourself and don't go unarmed. If you're going to be like camping around like near a trail and stuff like that, about 2 other people, so a group of 3 is good. If you're going out into like deep wilderness, no people whatsoever, pretty far from civilization like we were, and 10 people armed is starting to be a safe number. Wild stuff happens. You gotta be safe. You gotta be safe. You gotta be safe, because, like you said, 411 is a real thing. Mm-hmm. People go missing all the time, and sometimes people just get lost. That's the truth. Not everything has got to be cryptids. Not everything's got to be paranormal and stuff like that. Like honestly, I would say 75% of the missing people and stuff like that is just people going missing, getting lost. Because it's really, really easy to get lost in areas that you're unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
That's why I was so intimidated going out there. I didn't know the area. I refused to go out walking in pitch darkness on somewhere I've never stepped foot. The second day I went out, because during the day I had done a ton of hiking. Like, I was familiar with the area enough to where I knew how to get back, like left markers and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, you don't go out big chested. Don't think you're a dude that knows how to rock the Midwest and can survive anywhere in the Midwest. Like, I used to live up in the UP in the middle of winter. I know the Midwest. I can handle this and stuff. And then thinking I can take that all to somewhere with like mountains and swamps. Guess what? You're going to get humbled real quick, and some bad stuff's going to happen to you if you walk around with that mentality. I guess it all comes down to humility, man. Like, don't get too big for your britches.
Agreed.
Yeah, take that to heart, guys. Engrave that in your head, and it'll save you someday.
For sure. Well, man, tell us where people can find you. What's the best place?
I got you. So you can find me anywhere you can listen to podcasts at Midwest Mythos, and then you can find me on YouTube, which my YouTube I've been putting a ton of work into, and I got some like bonus content coming out on there at Midwest Mythos Podcast on YouTube. There, you're going to get the video format of all my episodes. You're also going to get some mini documentaries and stuff coming out. I've been doing a lot of hiking and stuff lately. I actually just went to Indiana Dunes National Park a couple days ago. Did some videos, about 20 minutes of video, just walking the nature trail. There's no cryptid, nothing kind of stuff like that. It's just me spending time in nature and trying to get people encouraged to go out in nature. And all this stuff too, you can find in my link tree at EE/Midwest Mythos Podcast. There you got links to everything. And I got this really cool thing right at the top of the page. It's called the Report and Encounter. So if you or anybody you know has had an encounter, or like you're a researcher or anything, it doesn't have to be an encounter, and you just want to talk to me, you can do that. Go straight to my email. I'll get back to you ASAP. Or the best place to get a hold of me like you did is my Instagram, Midwest Mythos. I'll get back to you pretty quick. I will say I used to do it instantly, but now I've become people actually know me now. So it's kind of been getting a little bit more
active.
Full, a little bit more active than I was anticipating. I never expected it to get to this point, but I try to get back to people pretty quick, within a day. And if I start the conversation with you, I'm gonna keep it going. It's not gonna be a week between each messages with y'all, because I enjoy talking to people, man. Like, if you're gonna take the time to try to talk to me, I'm gonna do my best to take the time to try to talk to you back.
For sure, agreed.
But yeah, that's everywhere you can find me.
All right, man, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast.
Yeah, we'll do it again before you know it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. You'll have to come on mine too, man.
Whenever you want.
All right, man.
Just let me know.
We'll do.
I got bad thoughts that make my mind scared. Hold me hostage and they don't fight fair. Who gon' pray for me and wipe on my tears? Who gon' save me if you not right here? Move this darkness and make my sight clear. Take me your way, cause I don't like here. Ghosts of my past, they feeling the night air. Wake me up, I'm trapped in my nightmares. Wake me up, I'm trapped in my nightmares. Drowning, I'm off the deep end. Apparitions of all my demons. All my thoughts are committing treason. All alone, who gon' hear me screaming? Manifestations of my fears. Regrets that stretched out for light years. Can almost touch the light, homie, it's right there. Body free but trapped in my nightmares. Wake me